What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Final Word with MattyB here on, what is it on? Yeah, the It's a Wrap Sports Network. Please like and subscribe to our network. We can greatly appreciate it, and we definitely need it, so please do that. Welcome back. We stepped out. We were not on the air yesterday. I was on post-game duties for the Flyers and the Avalanche, but never fear. I am here. And we have a cornucopia or a plethora, if you will, of things to get into tonight. Kind of a quiet night on the local sports front as far as the action goes, but definitely still some things to talk about as we will try to get caught up a day last night. Remind you that, again, everything on this network is dependent. I hate to say it like that, but dependent upon your subscriptions. So please like and subscribe on all of our social media, YouTube outlet platforms, and all those things to help us grow, help us continue to grow and be what we want to be. And that is the best in digital Philadelphia and sports content in general. So tonight on the show, your day in Philadelphia sports history as usual. We got a bunch of MLB baseball news tonight. We're going to get into some baseball stuff as the postseason 2024 awards process continues on. The managers of the year have been named. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty, the bare bones, the good ones, Cy Young, MVPs. They're going to be named in the next couple days. We're going to get into talking about some of the postseason awards. Who were your managers of the year? We're also going to talk some Phillies, as the trade hot stove deadline, well, it's not the trade deadline, but the hot stove is heating up, and a couple names are being thrown around out there as a lot of people, insiders, pundits, baseball people believe are an inevitability that will get moved. The Hall of Fame is also in the news. Monday, the Baseball Hall of Fame announced the class of 2025 inductee list. The Baseball Writers of America now have till December 31st to submit their nominations for the class of 2025, and those results will be read off on the MLB network sometime like January 21st. So we'll talk about some of the potential members of the Baseball Hall of Fame class of 2025. We'll maybe recap some of the Flyers news over the last 24 hours. A pathetically offensive-driven game against the Avalanche last night. We're going to get into some Eagles talk as we prepare for the Rams, and I'm going to debunk some of the rumors, and I'm going to explain to you here why I don't think the Eagles are an elite team, nor do I think they're a Super Bowl team. And we'll maybe cut up some other Flyer stuff. We got the Flyer prospect of the night as well. So a bunch of things to get into. And let's get it going. Let's get it going, shall we, as we do every week on this program with your day in Philadelphia sports history. 2006, November the 19th. Does anybody remember what happened noteworthy on this day in 2006? I'll give you a hint. It is Eagles related. I'll give you a big hint. Eagles related. All right, time's up. Donovan McNabb, in a non-contact play, tore his ACL against the Tennessee Titans on this day in 2006, which prompted Eagle backup Jeff Garcia to get pushed into action. I think the Eagles were around a 500 team, 6-5, around that mark at that point. They ended up winning. They ended up losing the game 31-13 to the Titans, but then they went on a magical ride for the rest of the 2006 season, finding their way into the playoffs, I believe, as division champions. Did they win 2006? No, they didn't win 2006. Yeah, they might have. They might have won 2006. They beat the Giants in the first round of the playoffs and then lost to the Saints down there in New Orleans. I think that was the Reggie Bush, Sheldon Brown game, too, in the divisional round. And so essentially they were out of the playoffs. But more significantly, this game with the ACL injury of Donovan McNabb pushed a lot of people over the edge with the patience of McNabb. This was I think, his third major injury as the quarterback of the Eagles that he sustained. He would return in 2007, but the clock was certainly ticking for Donovan in Philadelphia. Matter of fact, so much so that the Eagles went out and drafted Kevin Kolb in the second round of the 2007 draft. So essentially with this injury today, back in 2006, the end of the Donovan McNabb era began. The countdown to that end began. And yeah, so say what you want about him. He goes down, I think, in Eagles history for me as one of the most unfulfilled potential quarterbacks that we ever had. People are going to say, well, they didn't give him weapons. People are going to say he never had the wide receivers to complement him. I don't know about that. Pat Mahomes hasn't really had complimentary wide receivers throughout his tenure. I mean, he's got Travis Kelce. I'll give you that. Maybe that, the one time we did give McNabb the all-world guide and Terrell Owens, it did work well. So there is an argument for that. But I think largely in fact, that Donovan McNabb's era or tenure in Philadelphia will go down as probably one of the more unfulfilled potential eras of quarterback play for the Eagles. So on this day back in 2006 against Tennessee Titans, Donovan McNabb tore his ACL, and I'll never forget it. I was watching the game live in Afghanistan, and I remember the play too. So yeah, there you have it. Donovan McNabb lost for the season, the rest of the 2006 season. Jeff Garcia comes in, rallies the troops, gets them to the playoffs. I believe they won the division. Gets them into the second round before losing to the Saints. And then essentially ushering in the era of getting rid of McNabb as the Eagles would go out and draft Kevin Kolb in the second round of the 2007 draft. And there you have it, signaling the end was nigh for Donovan McNabb. And, of course, we all know that, 2 seasons later, he was gone? Yeah. So, or 3 seasons later. But there you have it. Donovan McNabb, ACL injury, 2006 against the Titans. And that was your day in Philadelphia sports history, brought to you by the fine folks at the It's a Wrap Sports Network and me. So, let's rip it open here. Let's get into some Major League Baseball talk. As I said at the top of the show, the postseason awards, which I've been keeping very close track of since they started, are now coming down the stretch run. Today, the managers of the year were named in both the American and National League, and those managers were from the National League Manager of the Year from the Milwaukee Brewers, Pat Murphy, and from the Cleveland Guardians, your American League Manager of the Year, Stephen Voigt, as they captured the prize. First-year managers, both of them on their first year in the league, first year managing, win the Managers of the Year for the respective American and National League. Thus, another Phillies player, coach, not recognized for greatness in 2024, which we're running out of awards here as the Phillies are, or maybe the realization that it wasn't a good season, and maybe the realization that it wasn't baseball is starting to creep in with the fact that the Phillies have been devoid, really, with the exception of Zach Wheeler and Bryce Harper, of picking up any postseason hardware. And as I said, we're running out of awards as it comes down the home stretch. I believe tomorrow is your Cy Young Awards, which Zach Wheeler has a shot. And then on Thursday is your MVPs. And then on Friday, your Heart and Hustle Award, which will then wrap it all up. And then once it's all done, we'll sit back and recap all of the awards as I've been kind of going over them day by day. But so there you have it, your National League and American League Managers of the Year from the Cleveland Guardians and the Milwaukee Brewers, both respectively first-year managers. Stephen Voigt from Cleveland and Pat Murphy from Milwaukee capture the awards in 2024. So congratulations to them, and congratulations to the Guardians and Brewers, who had fantastic seasons. Both teams did. So the right managers definitely won the award. Let's now turn our attention. Let's keep it at Major League Baseball because, as I said, the Hall of Fame class of 2025 has announced its finalists, and the ballots are out. And the Baseball America's Writers Association, whoever they are, have now till New Year's Eve to submit their ballots and vote for their baseball class of 2025 Hall of Fame inductees. Let's show you first the returning list of players. Bobby Abreu, former Philly. Carlos Beltran, Mark Abreu, Torrey Hunter, Andrew Jones, Andy Pettit, Manny Ramirez, A-Rod, Omar Vizquel, Mr. Chase Utley, Jimmy Rollins, Francisco Rodriguez, Billy Wagner, and David Wright. So on this list of players right here, 4 former Phillies, 3 of them that were synonymous with the Phillies, and Billy Wagner, who had a cup of coffee here, are all returning to the ballot as members of the 2025, potential members of Baseball Hall of Fame's class of 2025. Chase Utley, I believe, is his second year of eligibility or on the list. Jimmy Rollins, his 4th year. Bobby Abreu, I believe, is coming down the home stretch. I think he's almost done. I think it's his 5th or 6th year. And Billy Wagner, I think, is his 4th year as well. So out of this list of players, when you look at the Phillies, I always maintain it's going to come down to, I don't know Bobby Abreu has enough behind him muscle-wise to get into the Hall of Fame. I don't know. I think Chase Utley and Jimmy Rollins are shoo-ins at some point to get into the Hall of Fame. I'm not saying it's going to happen this year. And I was looking at this list. I'm thinking to myself, what the hell is Ryan Howard? And I remembered that Ryan Howard is no longer eligible for induction into the Hall of Fame as a automatic player. If you guys remember, back in 2022, he appeared on, or at the end of 21, he appeared on the 2022 class list, but he only received 8 votes, which is less than the 5% required to stay on the ballot. So Ryan Howard now, the only way he can get on or get into the Hall of Fame is if he's written in and voted in that way. So a long shot there for Ryan Howard to make it to the Hall of Fame. But, obviously when you're looking at that era of Phillies baseball, and that's, synonymous with those 3 players, Howard, Utley, and Rollins, you gotta think Chase Utley is probably the next one to get in, and I hope that is the case because I think Rollins and Utley will eventually get in, but I think Utley's the first to go. For a couple reasons, I want to see Chase Utley get inducted, and Jimmy Rollins as well. Both of them are homegrown Phillies. Both of them were products of the Philly minor league system and played 99.9% of their careers in pinstripes, and both of them represent the greatest era of Phillies sports ever, or Phillies baseball ever. I've talked about this on the program. 77 to 83 was pretty special, but so was 07 to 11. And those 2 players, Utley and Rollins, and yes, Howard, were synonymous with that success. So here's hoping that Chase Utley or Jimmy Rollins, in that matter, even Bobby Abreu, find their way into the Hall of Fame this year. As far as the new players that MLB is nominating for membership into the Hall of Fame, here are your first-year eligibles that are going to show up on the ballot. Carlos Gonzalez, Curtis Granderson, Felix Hernandez, Adam Jones, Dustin Pedroia, Brian McCann, Russell Martin, Ian Kinsler, Henley Ramirez, Fernando Rooney, CC Sabathia, Ichiro Zobrist, and Troy Tulowitzki. Out of this group of first-year guys, I think Suzuki is Ichiro is probably I would think he's a one and done. I think he's getting in. I think he's going in this year. So as far as these first-year guys, I think he's a slam dunk. I think he's definitely going to get in. We'll find out in late January who got in, but I would put money on Ichiro getting into the Hall of Fame on his first year of eligibility. And as far as this list of returning players, I'm gonna say it: Chase Utley, Manny Ramirez, and Andy Pettit. There you go. That's it. That's my class of 2025. Ichiro, Utley, Pettit, and Man Ram. There you go. There you heard it here first. So when it happens, you can always say that MattyB had the inside track. So there you have it. The class of 2025 MLB Hall of Fame potential inductees, as the Baseball Writers of America will vote, submit their ballots no later than New Year's Eve, and then in late January, the results will be read off on the Major League Baseball Network. So stay tuned for all that, and here's hoping some of them Phillies get in. And it's selfish reasons too, because honestly, the unwritten rule that the Phillies have about not retiring players' jerseys or numbers unless they're in the Hall of Fame is a ridiculous requirement and a ridiculous rule. And just out of the potential of seeing a number retired, and Scott Rowland wasn't getting his number retired by the Phillies, I thought it was pretty disrespectful and pretty silly to even honor him at Citizen Bank Park. But they were his number. But it's a slam dunk if Utley or Rollins get in, they're going to retire. I mean, no one's ever going to wear 26. No one's ever going to wear 11 again. They're just waiting on the formality of the Hall of Fame to hopefully have the actual ceremony. And here's hoping we have a number retirement ceremony at some point this coming summer at Citizen Bank Park. And I'll take 26 or 11, be honest with you. I don't really care. But I just hope it's somebody, because both of those players deserve it. Both of those players are synonymous with success and greatness in Phillies history. And both of those players, when it's all said and done with, or currently right now, are at the top 3 to 5 players all time at their position. So you got to give it, and I give serious consideration that Chase Utley is the greatest second baseman ever to play the game. Yes, I am going to give serious consideration to that. We can go and do the numbers back and forth between him and Ryan Sandberg. Sandberg obviously had a longer career, stayed healthier longer, but the impact that Utley had, to me, was the greatest of any second baseman ever played the game. And if you're going up against Sandberg never won a ring. So, maybe that's the clinching factor, but we could look at numbers. But I for my money, I say Chase Utley was the best second baseman ever played the game. And Jimmy Rollins is top 5 in the shortstop world, maybe top 3. So there you have it. The class of 2025 potential inductees into the Hall of Fame. Staying on the baseball tip, we got some hot stove news coming out. I guess it is almost as a lot of insiders are reporting, it's pretty much a done deal that Alec Bohm will get traded at some point this offseason. It's a matter now of where he's going and for who in return. The latest rumor out is that that the Kansas City Royals are in the conversation to potentially want to pick up Alec Bohm. Now, Alec Bohm makes sense going to Kansas City in my mind. I mean, he's from Nebraska, right? I mean, gets to kind of go home. Maybe that change of that market, that less intense market, a younger team, not really superstar laden. You got Bobby Witt out there, but other than that, it's a pretty young team, young talented team. Don't get me wrong. I think maybe that might be the best place for him. He can kind of go and figure some things out and get his head straight. But I think it's definitely time to move on from him. But so Kansas City makes sense to me on all kinds of different levels to send Alec Bohm to. Send him home, send him where he's comfortable, give him an opportunity to play with not necessarily a superstar-laden roster, playing with a lot of his peers in terms of skill level. And a young, exciting team that he could potentially have an opportunity to win out there in the American League. And we need some help too anyway. So that's the latest. And then, of course, the Juan Soto news is now heating up. Apparently, he will talk to the Phillies at some point over the next 24 hours or 48 hours from now. The Phillies are going to have an opportunity to sit down and speak to Juan Soto. Interesting conversation that probably is going to be. How are the Phillies going to afford Juan Soto? I don't know, but apparently that's in the mix. So Juan Soto is definitely rumored to be on his way, not on his way to Philadelphia, but he will sit down and talk to Phillies management personnel over the next 24 to 48 hours. If they can pull it off, man, I'm all for it. But how does this potential grab you? We trade Alec Bohm, and then we go and we sign Alex Bregman, who's looking for some kind of weird, like $60 million contract for like 3 or 4 years. We sign Bregman. We sign Soto. Now we're going to give up probably by destroying the tax. We're probably going to have to give up about 6 or 7 draft picks and about $3 million in international signing money. But we go all in, and we have a lineup that features Alex Bregman and Juan Soto, Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, JT Realmuto, and the rest of them. Talk about a team that will either be a feast. I probably wouldn't through 162 games. That team would drive me crazy to watch. But all reports are that it's pretty much a done deal that Alec Bohm is going to be traded. It's just a matter of where he's headed. And as I said, I think it's okay. It's okay by me. I think it's absolutely okay by me because I think it's time to move on. I do. So Alex Bregman could be coming. I mean, we trade Bohm, sign Bregman. I'd be okay with just signing Bregman. I'd be okay with signing, as I mentioned earlier, a Gio Urshela type third baseman for about a year or two, paving the way for Aiden Miller. Right? Going and getting a Soto. Let's take the Soto potential here. We signed Soto. He's in left field. Right? We signed Urshela. Former Yankee teammates. Maybe they're comfortable with each other. Right? We kind of solve our offensive problems. We go out and we sign Caley Jensen to be our closer. AJ Minter to be our setup guy. James Paxton is our fifth starter. And we roll our dice with that group. Bring up Justin Crawford and put him in center field. And I would be extremely excited and happy with that lineup heading into 2025. And I would be equally excited with signing Alex Verdugo to play left. Bringing Crawford up in center. Signing Paxton, Jansen, and Minter. And signing Bregman as well. I'd be equally excited with that lineup too. So either way works for me. Just do something. Do something. As the hot stove is heating up, as we are now 85 days away from when pitchers and catchers report to spring training. If you're counting at home like I am, 85 days away to the start of spring training in 2025 in Clearwater. And on another spring training note, just to kind of catch you up, I don't know if you guys missed this, might have missed some people, but the Tampa Bay Rays have announced that they will play, and this happened actually last week, or actually a couple weeks ago, but I want to make sure you guys get it. The Tampa Bay Rays are going to play their 2025 home games at Steinbrenner Field, the home of the Yankees for spring training. Due to the damage caused by Hurricane Milton to Tropicana Field, their stadium will not be available at all in 2025. So they're going to have to play their home games outdoors in Tampa at the Yankees spring training home. I mean, it's kind of awkward, don't you think? It's very awkward. The facility seats about 11,000. Obviously, it measures up to MLB specs. The Players Association approved it. And it keeps the Rays home. Now, the question is, why couldn't they go to their own spring training facility? And the answer simply is because it's not big enough and whatever. But so the Rays are going to be playing their home games out of the Yankees' home spring training facility in 2025. God help anybody who's got to go to Tampa and play in July outside against the Tampa Bay Rays. It's going to be interesting. A lot of rainouts coming in the 2025 Rays season, but they get to stay home and they get to keep their fans happy, which is always really good. So just a little filler news there for you. Is just want to remind everybody that baseball is still there and that we can still talk about it. So there you have your baseball news. Phillies hot stoves heating up. Alec Bohm, pretty much a done deal. Your 2025 MLB Hall of Fame, 2025 MLB Hall of Fame class has been somewhat announced as the finalists or the inductees. The lists are out, and then our awards season is wrapping up tomorrow. The big one, Cy Young, and then on Thursday the MVPs, and then Friday the Heart and Hustle Award will finish up the award season. So far, Bryce Harper's got a Silver Slugger. Zach Wheeler's been named as the first team All MLB team, and Bryce Harper was named to the second team All MLB team. So just two Phillies with postseason hardware, which makes you wonder, was it a good season after all? And for those of you who really want to find out the answer to that question, make sure you're with us on Friday night, 7 p.m. here on It's a Wrap Sports, as the Fighting's Final will return. The final 2024 edition of the Fighting's Final, as we will put a bow, a cherry on top of the 2024 Phillies season one final time. And we'll get to the bottom of the fact. We'll get to the bottom of, was 2024 indeed a good season or not? So Friday night at 7, be here for the Fightins Final end of season review show. Me, Sal, and a couple, hopefully others of the Fightins Final crew will be in attendance. So there you go. There's my baseball stuff. There's a lot of baseball news to talk about. Let's now transition over to the Philadelphia Eagles, because that's obviously the big story in town. 8-2, 6-game winning streak as we're getting ready to head out to the left coast to play the Los Angeles Rams and face, over the next 4 games, teams with a collective 25-14 record. And all the talk is about how good this team has become and how they've matured and rounded into a potential Super Bowl competitor. And I asked a very simple question: where are you seeing that? Because what I see, and it's not because I'm pushing a narrative. It's not because I'm pushing that. It's because when I look around at the other competition, when I look around at the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Detroit Lions, when I look at those, and of course Kansas City, and then you can toss Buffalo into that mix. You can also toss Miami to a lesser extent because they're dealing with some issues. But when I look at those upper crust teams, I don't see how the Eagles stack up against them. I don't, especially in a playoff situation. Everything's on the line. I don't see how they can do it. I don't see how people are getting excited about a team that has completely flipped the script heading into 2025. It doesn't happen like this. It doesn't happen as easy as people are trying to make it sound. How has this team, who heading into the season, everybody was on about how great the offense is. And the offense on paper is great. But why is the offense struggling in 2024? Why are we a rush-heavy offense? Why are we so now reliant upon running the football? Am I one of those people that was saying, hand the ball off, and now am I one of those people trying to say, well, why are we such a rush-heavy team? No, I wasn't. Honestly, I wasn't. Matter of fact, bringing Saquon Barkley here, one of my major concerns was, is there going to be enough ball for him with the way this team wants to throw the ball, which with the way this team is built, supposedly as an elite passing attack. Now, of course, as things have kind of maturated through this season, and you're going to sit here and tell me, a lot of people are going to tell me, well, the Eagles offense is giving what the defense, or taking what the defense is giving to them. I say you're lying to yourself, and you know you're lying to yourself, because that's not the case. The case is simply put that the core Kellen Moore's playbook. The quarterback cannot run effectively or consistently a playbook that predicates itself on quick hitters, slant patterns, and throwing balls into tight windows through the middle of the field. He can't do it. Now, to the Eagles' credit, they've adjusted the playbook. They've made it more rush heavy. They've made it more simplistic for him. They work the outsides of the fields. They work the edges. They work the 50-50, the hero ball. And when people tell me, and I bring that up all the time, how can you win a Super Bowl when you don't attack 60% of the field? I get this homer answer every time. Well, they're doing it, and they'll do it. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Eventually, somebody's going to find a way to take away Saquon Barkley. Someone's going to find a way to neutralize the rushing attack somehow as we get deeper into this. And God forbid if Saquon gets hurt. God for friggin' bid if we lose him. This offense is done. Done, son. 3 points in the first half against the Washington Commanders on Thursday night. 3 points. The Eagles now are averaging less than 10 points in first half football all season long. Don't tell me that's because of by design. Don't tell me that's because by technique. No, because they're having a hard time coming up with a game plan and sticking with that game plan week after week after week. They're finding themselves consistently trying to evaluate and adjust the game plan, which is part of football. But it's so night and day with the Eagles. The 15 most practice plays that your team works on every week are those first 15 or so plays of the game. They call them the scripted plays, right? And it's for a reason, because you work on those plays every day, pretty much throughout the week, or they're driven into you, they're emphasized to you. That's what they're going to run. The Eagles' opening drives this season have been terrible, criminally negligent at times. And those are the 15 plays that they work on the most throughout the week. Why is that? Why are they either so bad at executing plays that they've practiced all week, or so bad by picking the right 15 plays every week to start the game with? And they adjust it to their credit, which is fine, and they're leaning on a defense, and I'm going to get to the defense in a second, but they're leaning on a defense, and they're leaning on a rushing attack that is right now saving the day, and is right now winning them football games. And that's great, but is that something, and heading into week 11 with 7 or 6 more regular season weeks left, and then an entire playoff run ahead, is that something that you feel comfortable with? Because I don't see Jalen Hurts figuring it out at all. I see the same Jalen Hurts Thursday that I did see in week 1. There's no maturation there. People are telling me he's doing better. Where? He's running the same offense. They throw him a bone every now and again and mix in a couple slants, a couple quick hitters. 4 times. Was it 4 times? 4 times they went to the middle of the field this week against the Commanders. On the season, 32 times they've thrown the ball to the middle of the field. 32 times through 10 weeks. I've never seen anything like that before in my life. Now they're winning, and they're winning on the backs of the defense, and they're winning on the feet of Saquon Barkley. But somebody along the line is going to find a way to flip that. Somewhere along the line, someone's going to shut down the rushing attack. Somewhere along the line, someone's going to force Jalen Hurts and the Eagles to throw the football up to the middle, and they're ill-prepared to do that. And I cringe at what the result of that's going to be. And in week 11, you can't sit back and say that they're a Super Bowl contender based on that one layered offense. There needs to be some changes to that. There needs to be some wrinkles or some signs of wrinkles to that offense. It's one layer. It's Saquon, and it's down the sides. That's all the offense is. Now they've had some favorable opponents. I am not throwing the Commanders into that mix, and I am not throwing the Bengals, even though the Bengals at 4-7 now, but Kyle Quinn called them the best 4-win team in football. It's very true. But they've had favorable opponents, and they've had favorable defenses to attack. That's going to change. And if it doesn't change this week, if it doesn't change next week or the week after that, it's eventually going to change at the most inopportune time in the friggin' playoffs. So as I said on the other night, be excited, be happy, be proud of being an Eagles fan, but don't be unrealistic. This team has got no chance right now, in my opinion, to win a Super Bowl. Not a one. Defense, all right? Nobody had the Eagle defense on their bingo card this year. Nobody had the Eagle defense playing anything like the way they've been playing this year. And I'd be the first one to say that. It has been a hell of a pleasant surprise to see the emergence of some players on that defense. The Quinyon Mitchells, the Cooper DeJeans, the Zach Bonds, the Nakobe Deans, the Nolan Smiths kind of rounding in the form. Jalen Carter creating a lot of traffic up front. Those players have definitely rounded or are round in the form and have provided this defense with a shot of life. But how legitimate is that? Right? All the players that I mentioned, every single one of them I mentioned, are relatively unknown in the NFL right now. Relatively unknown in terms of what their tendencies are, in terms of what direction they lean towards, and what their technique is. Just like in offense, you study a quarterback and you study his tendencies, and then you find a way to defeat those tendencies. The same thing is going to be done with the Philadelphia Eagle defense. At some point, someone's going to pick up on Cooper DeJean's tendencies or Quinyon Mitchell's tendencies or Nakobe Dean's tendencies. Someone's going to pick up on that, and exploit it against the Eagles. Now, it will happen this year. Who knows? Will it happen next year? Probably, when there's some time to sit down and look at tape. I am very excited and happy with the Eagles' defensive play, but I'm concerned that this is just a matter of time before somebody picks up on what they're doing, and maybe they're tipping their hands somehow. Maybe Quinyon leans to the left when he's going to favor the left, or he digs his left foot in when he's going to break on his right foot. Something is going to tip eventually when they see tendencies of these players in order to try to exploit them. Now, whether they can exploit them or not remains to be seen, and whether or not they get exploited or not remains to be seen. Right now, the defense is playing above their heads, and that, to me, is what this is. The defense is not playing up to potential. We don't know these players. We don't know what their abilities are. We're finding it out week after week after week. And it's working up to this point. And it's something to be excited about. But nobody had the Eagle defense coming into 2024 as leading the way through this for this team. And I hope that happens, and I hope that continues as we move down the stretch. But to sit here in Week 11 and foolishly say the Philadelphia Eagles are, one, the best team in the NFC, are you crazy? And two, a Super Bowl worthy opponent or a Super Bowl worthy team is a lot of like what I heard last year with the 10-1 nonsense. Oh, they're going to the Super Bowl. No, they're not. Now, 25-14 against the remaining opponents. That's or 25-14 over the next 4 games. That's their opponent's record. Starting with the Commanders game, which was very pleasantly surprising, even though it was not a blowout. Everyone loses the reality or the grasp of reality and says that was a blowout. And it wasn't. It was a very tense first half. They scored 3 points in that first half. The Commanders were unable to take advantage of that in part because of the Eagle defense. But as we move down the stretch here, 25-14 over the next 4 games are your opponent's schedules or records. Let's see how they come out of those next 4 games. And let's see where they are, because these are games, because you're playing in Pittsburgh, you're playing in Baltimore, you're playing 2 teams that are probably going to be there at the end in the AFC. And you got up against the Rams, which is a quality opponent. So let's see where they are. But one layered offense, a very vanilla, basic offensive attack. And then the head coach is also still lurking in the weeds out there to Nick Sirianni it all up. So enjoy the 8-2. Take it one game at a time. Stop talking about Super Bowl. You have an above average, mediocre, starting caliber quarterback who does not know how to run the offense of the offensive coordinator. Nobody wants to talk about it anymore. Nobody wants to talk about that. But it's evident week after week after week. And Saquon Barkley, who continues to have an MVP-like season. Hope it holds out, and I hope he can hold out too. So that's my little 2 cents about the Philadelphia Eagles, because I got to say it. I got to be the one and the voice of reason all the time. All right. So, real quick, the Flyers. 3-2 losers last night. They're very, very vanilla. We're starting to see kind of a trend here with this team. They play bad for 50 minutes, and then they turn it on for the final 10 minutes. Or they play bad offensively, I should say, for 50 minutes. And then they turn it on offensively for the final 10, and hopefully they're in a position to make a run and try a tie or win a game. That's a recipe for disaster at the NHL level, especially with a team like the Flyers that's not built with any sort of offensive superpower to try to have to do. So the Flyers got to find their way to consistent offensive approach on a game-to-game basis. And I know that bothers Tortorella and it drives him crazy, and that's what he wants too. But yeah, so the Flyers last night, losers 3-2 to the Avalanche. They'll be back at it tomorrow night against the Carolina Hurricanes. Here we got you covered, of course, here on the network. Sal, I believe. Let me just put it up there. There it is. Clear the ice. Yes, Sal will be your convoyant to Flyers hockey tomorrow as he has the post-game show here on It's a Wrap. So make sure you're checking it out. Make sure you're staying, you're tuning in and providing your 2 cents worth, because, we're often running 8, 9, and 2. Listen, it's not terrible, could be a lot worse. They were actually at one point, we talked about this a lot, about how things were kind of unraveling. They were unraveling there for them, but they've pulled it together, and they've been very competitive, a lot better over the last week, but they got to find a way to be more consistent with their offensive approach through 60 minutes of hockey, and not just try to turn it on with 10 minutes left to go in the game and pray to God that they're in a position to win. So there you have it. With that being said, let's debut and talk about our Flyer prospect of the night. This is the segment where we talk about a prospect from the Flyers or Phillies. We talk about a draft target from the Flyers or Phillies, and we may even talk about a spotlight player from the Flyers or Phillies as well. Tonight, we're still dealing with just Flyers prospects as we creep closer and closer, ever so close every day, to January, when we'll ratchet it up a level. And we'll start breaking down Phillies prospects. We'll start breaking down Phillies spotlight players. We'll start breaking down MLB draft targets, and we'll start breaking down NHL draft targets. But please let me enjoy the last 2 months of my vacation from that. And we're just focused in on the Flyers. So let's talk about your Flyer prospect of the night. And he is Ilya Patov. Yep, probably saying that all wrong. The right winger from the Krasnaya Armenia of the MHL. A 5'11", 168-pound right winger drafted in the 6th round of this past year's draft. He is wearing a uniform very reminiscent of the old Soviet Union days, but there he is. His handling still is strong, tons of attacks on the inside, and that ability to make defenders look silly. A fast, speedy, undersized right winger. I think I like him a little bit taller than that. But you know what? He is fast, and a young player, 18 years old right now. Hopefully, again, he's one of our international players playing in Russia. Maybe 2 or 3 years from now, we can wrestle him away from the Federation and bring him over and start his process. But currently now, for the Krasnaya Armenia Moskva of the MHL, he's totally... I don't mean any disrespect to Russian people out there, but I cannot. They may as well just put the R's backwards just to kind of complete it. 23 games played, 7 goals, 13 assists for 20 points, and a gaudy +10 as Ilya Patovov of the MHL, the Flyers' 6th-round draft pick in this past year, and this in the 2024 draft, is your Flyer prospect of the night. So there you have it. Working our way through that list. As I said, and starting in January, we're going to amp it up a little bit. We're going to throw out some MLB draft targets. We're going to throw out some NHL draft targets. We're going to throw out Phillies Spotlight 2025 players. We'll start talking about some of the Phillies that will make up your 2025 season. And then we're also going to, probably in April, I'm not going to do it in January, but we'll start talking Phillies prospects in January. So things are starting to kind of, we're coming down the home stretch of the year, celebrating all that was in sports in 2024. But now, very quickly, we're going to be turning that page and revving it all back up in 2025. And nobody has you covered than It's a Wrap Sports. So please like and subscribe on all of our platforms so we can continue to bring you this stuff. And that's going to take me to my final segment and my most fun segment of the night. And that is MattyB's card review. So, cue the music.
Looks a little something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad. What? Looks a little something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad.
All right, yeah, MattyB's card review. This is the segment of the show that we take a card from my very vast sports card collection and we just kind of kick it around a little bit. We talk about the ups, the downs, the ins, the outs, and the sideways of that card. I have a multitude of sports cards, over 500,000 of them. I wonder if that number's wrong. It's probably wrong. It's probably more like 100,000, maybe even less than that. It just seems like 500,000 after you actually categorize them all this past summer. I still have visions of cards dancing in my head, but We've been doing this segment for the last month, and it's super fun. It's a nightly segment, so please, if you're just into sports cards, make sure you come in. It's always at the end of every show, so make sure you're tuned in for that. So let's get into it. Our sports card of the night. It is not baseball. We're going to gravitate away from baseball. We're back on the hardwood. That's right. Basketball is the card of the night, and it's from that uber somehow very financially lucrative and ultra collectible 1987 Fleer. NBA set. Again, we've talked about this. There's not one. If you go back through the history of basketball cards, for some odd reason, the 1987 Fleer stands out about one of the most financial lucrative. If you can find a box of 87 Fleer and attempt to unearth some of the gold mine cards that are in that set, and they're all, I mean, there's probably featured in that set at least 20 to 25 Hall of Fame players. Of course, not then, but now. And tonight we're going to feature one of those Hall of Famers. But, you know, everybody from Bird, Jordan, McHale, Doc, Barkley. I mean, just some of the greatest players that ever played the NBA game are featured in the 86 or in the 87 Fleers. And that happened to be when I was collecting basketball cards as a young man. That was the only season or only year that I actually collected basketball cards. I just happened to be collecting them in 87, and I was able to hold on to them. Now, I don't have the Mount Rushmore. I don't have the 87 Jordan, which, again, is not his rookie card, but it is so valued. For some odd reason, I don't know what makes these cards so valued. We talked about the Detlef Schrempf and the Kelly Tripucka cards of that era. Detlef Schrempf's card right now from the 87 Fleer is like a $70 card. Detlef freaking Schrempf. Kelly Tripucka, you guys remember this guy? The curly-haired dude, looked like a 70s porn star. Played for the Jazz pretty much throughout his career. You know, the consummate bench guy. It's like a $60 card from the 87 Fleers, and I have both of them. But tonight we're going to focus in on a Hall of Famer. And this card, certainly, his career has gone somewhat unnoticed, and I think underappreciated, honestly, throughout his career. But definitely one of the greatest big men ever to play the game. And without further ado, let's debut our card of the night, 1987 Akeem Olajuwon. Yep, the 87 Fleer Akeem Olajuwon. Part of the Twin Towers of the Houston Rockets back in the day, back when the Houston Rocket uniforms were cool. Those road reds with the Houston written across it, with the home whites, with the word Rockets on it. That is good stuff. When they went to the Flash Gordon crap back in the 90s, just really, it went downhill. I know they're kind of, I think, aren't they gravitating more back towards this design? It's classic, it's slick, it's clean. And Akeem Olajuwon, as I mentioned, in an era now part of, I guess, where he's underappreciated is probably because of the era he played in. When you're featuring centers like Kareem, Patrick Ewing, you know, these are some of the best centers that ever play the game. And you throw in Akeem Olajuwon, who, until it got a little bit more wiggle room for him, with him and Ralph Sampson, he was finally able to start kind of winning. But definitely one of the greatest centers ever to play the game. And this card, again, in the ultra financial, valuable 87 Fleer set, this card right now, it's all over the place. As a PSA 9, I'm looking at it at $100. I'm looking at it at $85, $90, $70. Nothing lower than $60 for a PSA 9 of this card in the 87 Fleer. And if you're wondering, this is his fourth year in the league. So this is not even his rookie. It's not his second year card. It's his fourth year card. And it's a card that's upwards around $100. Again, the craziness of the 87 Fleer. If you want to go deeper on auction and some sites, $600, $300, $500, $1,005. I mean, nothing lower than $500 is this card right now at a PSA 9 rating. So, Akeem Olajuwon of the Houston Rockets, again, underappreciated center, part of the Twin Towers, which back in the 80s was a dominant force, but they couldn't quite get over the Lakers, which not many teams could. But once things kind of loosened up a little bit, Akeem found his footing and finally got some of the glory he deserved. But here it is in its physical form, the 87 Fleer Olajuwon. I'm holding it in my hand. As I mentioned, I was kind of targeting PSA 9s. There's not many. I couldn't find actually one PSA 10 featured online. But I did find PSA 9s. Now, again, all my cards are raw, which means none of them have been graded. So all I can do is look at a card that I'm staring at, look at the card online, and kind of try to quickly make some sort of comparisons on whether or not this would measure up or stack up. This is a pretty clean card. The edges to me look a little off-centered here on this side, but the cards that I've seen online are pretty similar of the disparity on this side with the edge. So I know 87 Fleers are also synonymous with some bad cutting and some bad reproduction cards. A lot of them came off. A lot of them went out into the market and were just factory messed up. And that is not always a good thing. I know a lot of people look at error cards as, ooh, you know, it's financially great. An error card, yes, like the data is on the card wrong, or the famous Billy Ripken, FU on the bottom of the bat, or the Ken Griffey bloody scar on his rookie card, which I have. That's an error card that's worth money, not a card that comes off the presses cut wrong, or a card that has ink stains from when it was printed, it ran somewhere. Those are not considered error cards. Those are considered manufacturer errors, and they actually bring the value of the card down. So, but this card, as I said, comparable to what I've seen online, pretty even. Of course, I won't know unless I send it in the PSA and get them graded. That's eventually going to happen, but I'm taking this one step at a time. As I organized all these cards back in the summer. Now I'm doing the victory lap with showing them off, and then eventually I'll get around to sending them off for grading. But there you have it, the 87 Akeem Olajuwon from Fleer, a ultra collectible, ultra financial, valuable set of basketball cards, maybe the most. For some odd reason, 87 Fleer supersedes 86 Fleer and supersedes 85 Topps with the Jordan rookie. If you can get a Jordan 87 Fleer, that's up there, man. And the Jordan 87 Fleer card and the Jordan 87 Fleer sticker, they're up there when it comes to Michael Jordan memorabilia. So there you have Akeem Olajuwon 87 Fleer from my collection. So that's it. MattyB's card review of the night, the Akeem Olajuwon from the uber collectible 87 Fleers. It's amazing how that set has gotten so popular and why it's so financially valuable. I've asked people in the business about why, and a lot of the two most common things I've heard about why they're so valuable is the design of card. It's that classic. It's this design. If for some odd reason it really sold, and it's a really good look. And the second thing is the quality of player that was featured in that set. As I mentioned, 25 Hall of Famers in that set of cards, and that's absolutely amazing. I don't think there's any other basketball card set that features 25 Hall of Famers in the entire set. So 87 basketball Fleer. If you're looking to get into basketball cards, now everything new today, like all the new stuff, I'd say from like 2020 or 2015 on, there's real value in all those cards because of the designs and the refractors and the chrome and the foil wrap and the glitter and the kaboom and all that stuff. They're really, really valuable cards. But if you're into nostalgia, and if you're into collecting older cards, and if you're into trying to find true Mount Rushmore type cards like the Jordan rookie in 85 or the Jordan 87 Fleer, I definitely recommend you going out and trying to find some of these older basketball cards, football, baseball, and hockey cards as well, and go treasure hunting that way, because that's really fun when you rip a pack open and you come across a Griffey rookie, like I did about a year and a half ago, ripping open a pack of 90 Topps, and came across a Griffey rookie. So that's the true pleasure of the hobby, is when you're doing stuff like that. Now, I'm not downgrading or saying the cards of today are worthless. They're absolutely not. They're very valuable and whatnot. Matter of fact, Paul Skeens, who won the Rookie of the Year yesterday in the National League. His rookie card, his 2024 Topps card. I don't know if you guys have heard this, but his 2024 Topps. There's multiple cards of him in his rookie year, but this one card is a auto and a relic card. So if you've seen them, and I have a few in my collection, I should have probably pulled one tonight to show you what I mean. But in every set of cards, and I think Topps did 3 sets of 2024s. I think they're on set 3 for the season right now, and I think it's set 2. This card is from. But it's a relic card and it's an auto card. It's a 1 of 1. There's only one of them out there somewhere. And I don't know if it's been found yet or where it's at, but there's only one of these cards that's out there. He's looking for it, the pitcher from the Pirates. He's actually looking for it right now. And he's offered a 30-year season ticket, or I don't know if he's offered it or the Pirates. The Pirates and him are looking for it. And the Pirates have offered a 30-year season ticket deal with a seat right behind home plate for anyone that can come forth with this card. And it's still out there. Nobody has brought it forward. So it's 2024 Topps Paul Skeens rookie auto relic card. So it's basically a rookie card of him, signed by him, with a piece of his uniform on the card somewhere. And it's a 1 of 1. So it'll be serialized as 1 of 1. So if you happen to find that, contact the Pittsburgh Pirates because they got stuff for you. And but anyway, that's what's fun about this whole thing. That's what's fun about the hobby. The triple auto from the Olympics this year with the LeBron, Embiid, and I don't know who's the third player. I think it's LeBron, Embiid, and Curry. It's a triple auto. Signed. It's a card with all 3 of them on it, signed by all 3 of them. That's another one that's floating around out there. There's only like 10 of them, and that's uber valuable. And that was out of the Olympics set this year. So again, I get it. It all kind of centers around money. I understand that, but it's fun. It is fun. And so I said, if you're out there and you come across a 2024 rookie Topps Paul Skeens auto relic card, contact the Pittsburgh Pirates. A 1 of 1. Contact the Pirates because they have some news for you that you'll really enjoy. But it's fun. Collecting sports cards is fun. And as I said, I've been doing it all my life and just recently was able to get back into it and characterize all of my cards. And now I get to share them with you every night, which hopefully with the 6 binders of valuable nostalgic cards that I've already segregated from the rest of them. And with the cards coming in every month, I buy about a box of cards a month. Vary from era to sport. This month is basketball, newer. So I'll be getting about I'm thinking maybe targeting a 2023 Topps maybe. Basketball cards, but every month I buy a box of cards and add to the collection slowly but surely. So, well, Christmas coming up, maybe I'll purchase a mega box of Topps 2024 baseball, and hopefully I uncover the Paul Skeens rookie auto relic card. And MattyB will be a fixture at PNC Park in 2024 and 2025 and beyond, waving at the camera. Hey, how you doing? But yeah. So there you have it. There's MattyB's card review. And that's going to wrap me up. Great show tonight. We talked a little bit about MLB happenings. The postseason awards are coming to an end. Tomorrow is your Cy Young Award, and on Thursday is your MVPs, and on Friday your Hustle and Heart Award, and that will wrap it up. They did their Managers of the Year tonight. We talked about some hot stove rumblings and grumblings that it seems that it's pretty much a done deal that Alec Bohm will be moved at some point in this offseason. Kansas City is now the latest team that is inquiring about Bohm's services. We also went over the 2025 Baseball Hall of Fame induction class. The ballot has been released. The Baseball Sports Writers of America have till New Year's Eve to submit their ballots, and then the class of 2025 will be read off on air on MLB TV. I think it's January 20th. About how I don't feel that the Eagles are an elite team, or are they a Super Bowl competitor, based on one layered offense, a quarterback that does not use the middle of the field because his team does not feel comfortable opening up the playbook to him, The defense, who's been playing over their heads, I think it's more because teams don't know much about these players. And once those tendencies become known, and that may not happen this year, and if Eagles may be able to ride that wave into 2025. But I think it's more because of the unknown of some of these players on defense that they're so successful, and as a unit as well. And then I think, honestly, this team is going to go as far as Saquon Barkley can take it, and hopefully that's further, and hopefully he doesn't get hurt. And then there's always Nick Sirianni lurking in the woods out there. So 8-2 is a great story. 6-game winning streak is an awesome story. Pump the brakes. A lot of football left to play. I don't see at this particular moment in time the Philadelphia Eagles as a Super Bowl contender or a Super Bowl team. Talked a little bit about the Flyers last night. Recapped the game quickly. Said about the offense has to be a little bit more consistent over a span of 60 minutes, not in 10 minutes. Did our Flyers prospect of the night is Ila Patolov, your 6th-round draft pick this past season. And we talked about our card review. Akeem Olajuwon, 87 Fleer. I've had a blast. Remember, tomorrow night I will be on directly after the Clear the Ice program, as Sal will bring you Flyers Hurricane post-game. So make sure you're tuned in for that and all the great other stuff that we have happening on the network. 85 days, folks, to spring training. 85 days till pitchers and catchers report to Clearwater. And, I forgot. Just remember this. For those of you who might have missed this, the Tampa Bay Rays will play their 2025 home game schedule at Steinbrenner Field, the spring training home of the New York Yankees, because of the damage done to Tropicana Field by Hurricane Milton. So, a very awkward situation to be in if you're a Rays fan, having to play in your rival's spring training home. And what happens when the Yankees come and have to play on the road in Tampa? I mean, how awkward is that? That's extremely awkward. So that's what you have to look forward to if you're a Tampa Bay Ray fan in 2025. You guys enjoy the rest of your night. Have an even better tomorrow, and we'll talk tomorrow night.
I've been coming up hot for a minute. Everybody know the drop when I'm in it. I drop the top when I'm in it. Everybody know the drop when I'm in it. Yeah, I flow so pure. Everybody know I'm on. You know when they click through. Try to send this possibly a slow beat, right?